Happy to take any questions from members of the media.
Hi, Governor.
Go ahead. Because you have an on-topic question.
I do have an on-topic question. First of all, I know that there are, of course, a lot of folks who are looking at further changes to the industry. Can you tell us what your thoughts are on the notion of delivering marijuana to folks? The delivery licenses.
I think we've got to look into, there are other locations across the country where this has become, legally allowed, and it's something that I think we should just examine what the impact has been there. But on first blush, and without the data in front of me, I think that as long as it is regulated, as long as we make sure that the person who's ordering it gets it and that they're legally allowed to, then it would seem to me like the same as somebody coming into a store.
Are you confident that all of the 200 temporary licenses will actually come to fruition? That there's going to be the money, particularly with the delays, as you noted, but now interest rates through the roof that make capital so much more challenging?
Yeah.
Are they all going to?
I'm hopeful that that's the case, and we're certainly doing everything that we can, providing loans to folks who need them. They're forgivable loans, making sure that we're helping them through the process as best we can. So I'm hopeful that we're going to see nearly all. I mean, I know small businesses are very hard to start. If you don't already have one existing, to open one anew as a new entrepreneur is just a challenging endeavor. But again, we're trying to make it as easy as possible.
What else might that mean? You said we're going to do everything. Obviously, there is that fund. Is there anything else that you're looking at, either in legislation or through your executive powers, to try and further lift that, given all of these years of challenges?
No, I think that, and again, as you know, much of the challenge has been the court system and the amount of time that it's taken to get through the court system, people suing because they didn't get, a winner in the lottery for a license. But now that we can sort of see our way clear to many of these businesses opening, we're providing as much service as we can. When people call in and say, I have a challenge, here's a problem. That's one of the jobs that Aaron Johnson has, is not only as a kind of an organizer of the regulation at state government, but also as a facilitator for businesses that are having challenges and don't know how to get through the process. So we're doing everything we can to provide that kind of assistance.
Another topic, one last. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So this is the first social equity. That was what was championed when this bill was passed. You can't be pleased that this is the first that's taken this long to get here.
So let me just back up and remind you that this is not the first social equity aspect of cannabis legalization. But it's very important, I know, but you're skipping over some very important aspects of the bill, like the pardons that have taken place, again, for people who've had low-level convictions, like the expungement of arrest records. Right, but that's not a small thing. These are people who couldn't rent an apartment, couldn't get a job because they had to fill out an application that said, yeah, I have an arrest record, or I have a record for something that is now legal. So that's a very important thing that we've been doing. Look, would I have liked this to have gone much faster? Of course. And as you know, in the very first year, and there was a timetable for it that would have begun May 1st of 2020, but COVID hit in March, and so there was a delay that started out as a problem that COVID caused. And then we started to see challenges in the courts. And that really has taken us for most of the last 2+ years. I am very pleased, though, to see that we are starting to see openings of cannabis dispensaries that are social equity applicant license holders, and that we're going to see an acceleration of that. You heard Aaron talk about it, and I've talked about it, over the next number of months, because we see the progress that these new entrepreneurs are making.
What's the status of the next round of retail licenses?
So again, normal process that we're going through. I'm happy to turn it over to Aaron or to Mario to talk about the regulatory process that's going through. But we have issued all the 192 licenses anyway that are under the social equity program. So I don't know if you have other questions about.
What's the status of the application process?
So Mario, do you want to take that, or Aaron?
Hi. No, thank you for the question. So with respect to the current licensees, we're following all protocols and all regulatory requirements and ensuring that they're issued in a prompt manner. With respect to the remaining 55, there's a rule component that we need to make sure that we abide by, and so currently we're working with JCAR, with the Joint Committee of Administrative Rules, and ensuring that it provides us with the proper roadmap for us to issue those 55 licenses. We're working on that. So right now, it's been out, they've been up before JCAR already, and so we're working through, depending on JCAR meetings and the like. So,
Governor, it's not just dispensaries, but there's also been issues with these craft grow cultivation centers. So what about this notion, because I don't think you mentioned this as part of helping, what about the notion of allowing them to have expanded turf?
Yeah, that's something that we'll be working with the General Assembly on. I know that's a great concern to some folks who have limited space, as you point out, and have felt that they can't launch their business properly without more space available to them. And that's something, again, this is an industry that's a brand new industry. Even a few years in here, you know, there are a lot of things that we've had to learn over time in the industry, and folks in the industry have had to bring to our attention in order for us to make the changes that are necessary to make it work. But remember, one of the reasons that that we have had some challenges has been because we've been so focused on equity. Now, what I mean to say is I know that there are people who write about this, that there are other states that have opened up the number of licenses to hundreds and hundreds of licensees, and they have more dispensaries open than we do. But the reality is that we've limited the number of licensees in part because we wanted to make sure that the social equity licensees had a fair shot in the industry and they weren't just edged out to the very end and by, you know, having too many dispensaries in the market so that people can't make money, entrepreneurs who open places like Ivy Hall. So I'm you know, in many ways I think that what you all view as a, you know, as a slow plodding process is also one that ends up with, you know, the right regulation and the right laws in place, and the industry growing at a pace that will allow social equity to take place within the entire cannabis industry, which is one of the purposes of it.